Good. First of all, thank you all for coming this morning. What I will do is give you a brief timeline of when the investigation started, where we are, and then kind of open it up for some questions. Please understand, as you know, that it's still an ongoing investigation, that we have to, some of the information I can't reveal. Feel free to ask your question, but just understand that some things I cannot state because of the fact that this investigation is still moving forward. On April 18, 2017, Tanya Tripp first reported her daughter, Latania Carwell, and her husband, Leon Tripp, were missing. That started a missing persons investigation with the sheriff's office. During the investigation, based on information we received from Latania Tripp, it was believed or led to believe that Leon Tripp had driven himself along with her daughter, 16-year-old daughter, Latania, to the Atlanta area in their white GMC truck. On April 23rd, that truck was located on the 3000 block of Woodbriar Court, which is around the corner from the original address. As the investigation continued, more and more inconsistencies became relevant in Tanya Tripp's testimony. So on May 1st, the sheriff's office applied for a warrant for kidnapping against Leon Tripp. Approximately 22 days later, on May 23rd, after receiving information, tips from the U.S. Marshal Service, located Leon Tripp in the Atlanta, Georgia area. To our surprise, Tanya Tripp was also accompanying Leon Tripp. On August 23rd, warrants were applied for and obtained for murder on Leon Tripp and for concealing the death of another on Tanya Tripp in reference to the disappearance of their daughter, her daughter, 16-year-old Janell Carwell. At that time, no body had been recovered, but based on information throughout the investigation, we felt confident to move forward with a murder investigation and no longer a missing person or a kidnapping. On March 8th of 2018, we received a phone call from a citizen that they were surveying the backyard of a residence at 2211 Golden Camp Road and had discovered what they believed to be human remains. At that time, the scene was secured. We made contact with Dr. Alice Gooding, anthropologist contracted through the GBI. The scene was secured on March 9th. Investigators, along with Dr. Gooding, returned to the Golden Camp Road address and conducted a thorough forensic anthropological dig of the site where the remains were located. Once those remains were collected, they were gathered, turned over to the coroner's office, and then transported to the GBI crime lab for autopsy and identification. On March 12th, of course, during the course of the investigation, because we did have a missing person, we were able to obtain general records of Latania Carwell. Those records were delivered to the GBI crime lab in Atlanta, at which time they confirmed through those general records that the remains that we had discovered on Golden Camp Road was in fact that of Latania Janell Carwell. This has been a long and exhausting investigation, but it will not conclude until the successful prosecution of Leon and Tanya Tripp. I would like to thank my investigators as well as operational support personnel for their tireless efforts in the recovery of the remains of Janell's body. Also, the community support has been overwhelming as they have embraced this case as if Janell was their own child. Without the help of the community, I don't feel that this case would be at this stage. As I stated earlier, this case is far from over, but at least now the community can find peace that Janell can finally be laid to rest, and we can move forward with the prosecution of this case. I'll take any questions that you may have.
Sheriff, how does finding the remains change how Leon